What's going on, YouTube? So it's no secret that wagons are a dying breed in the US, which in our opinion is a great tragedy.
And we just spent a week with a wagon we've been waiting to spend some time with for a very long time, the Volvo V60 Polestar.
But with production of this model tragically already ended, is this the best new wagon that you can't buy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let's start out under the hood of this powerful wagon. So we've got a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, part of a plug-in hybrid system. It makes a lot of power, 455 horsepower to be exact. That's going to be paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and your combined fuel economy comes in at 31 mpg.
Now the base price for the Polestar engineered V60 is $72,000, and if you're looking to buy one, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, this is also a 7-day review. We lived with this wagon, so at the end, we're going to tell you if we like it better, the same, or worse. You might already know the answer to that. We'll also be giving you our real-world fuel economy figures, as well as getting our sound level reading.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the exterior design as well as the interior. Now, you heard us say at the beginning, best new wagon you can't buy. So let me explain that just a little bit. This vehicle had a very short 2025 model year, and it's actually already out of production. We checked around to see if there's any available that you could buy, and there's actually only 3 used models of various model years that are listed in the entire United States. So, needless to say, this is a very rare ride, but that's also part of what makes it so special if you do get to spend time with one or own one eventually. Now, up here in the front, you're of course going to notice that signature Volvo design language. You've got the full blacked out grille on the upper part as well as your lower fascia. Polestar engineered branding right over here. It's overall pretty subtle, but I think that's really cool part of this vehicle. It makes it kind of a sleeper. Your headlights, of course, are your signature Volvo design with the Thor's hammer. Full LED low and high beams. They're very good at night as well, and they are adaptive. Now, walking around to the rear, you can really get a sense of just how low and athletic this vehicle looks.
Yeah, every time I walk up to it this week, I'm like, ooh, that looks so good. And a lot of that is because it is so low to the ground. Now, as far as overall design elements, it's typical Volvo. So you have Volvo spout out across the back, a spoiler. You also have a wiper and these signature full-length taillights. Now, every single element in here is going to be LED. As you can see, our brake light, our reverse light, and our turn signal indicator, all LED. And then here for the Polestar model, down here at the bottom, you're not going to have any exposed exhaust outlets, but we do gain a new Polestar engineered badge. Overall, I think it's a beautiful design.
Now, moving on to our wheels, you have 19-inch alloys. It's got a nice contrast design to these, but of course, what you're probably noticing is what's right behind the spokes. We have these really cool gold accented Brembo brake calipers, as well as that right there. Just a little splash of color again, just kind of subtly hinting at the overall performance of this model. Moving up here to our mirrors, nice gloss black finish. They are fully loaded as we expect from any luxury vehicle, including power folding and auto dimming.
Now, the side might be my favorite exterior angle for this V60 because, like we said at the back, it's just so low to the ground. It has that traditional sporty wagon appearance. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. All of our window surrounds are going to be blacked out. We also have blacked out roof rails. And overall vehicle length is 188 inches, which is about 3 inches longer than an XC60 for reference. Now, as far as your safety systems for the V60, it's just like any other Volvo, so you're going to have all of your active safety feature as standard equipment. That will even include things like adaptive cruise control. But guys, there are some really special elements on the inside as well that we can't wait to get into, so let's do it. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now on to the interior. First, here's our key fob. typical Volvo key fob, just the kind of square look. You have smart entry as well as remote start via the app. And just reach behind the handle to unlock the door. Now, take a look inside the interior. So obviously it's going to primarily be a very familiar space, but you do have some special touches that distinguish it. One of those special touches you're looking at right now, that is the gold finish on the seat belts for a nice pop of color against the standard black seat. In terms of the material on the seat, this is partially Nappa leather, and then you've got these cloth inserts that go around. And the bolsters, as you can see, are pretty aggressive to hold you in place when you are driving aggressively. Overall, very effective, good and comfortable seats as well. You've got 12 ways of power adjustment. You also have things such as a power thigh extension. And let's go ahead and get inside. Now, as far as other materials inside the cabin, you're going to find nice leather across the armrest portion, more of this cloth through the center section, soft touch plastic along the top. This does come with the tailored dashboard, so you've got the leatherette that goes all through here with the stitching details. We also have a metal mesh trim that goes through here. Real metal speaker grills, of course, more leather through here, some piano black finishes on the center, and finishing it off with a beautiful crystal shifter. Now let's go ahead and fire it up. Now when it comes to this vehicle, it really just comes in one configuration, so we'll just kind of quickly go through the features. It's very much the typical Volvo interior, including things with our gauge cluster. So you've got the full 12.3-inch digital cluster, has Google Maps right there in the middle, and you have a few different things you can customize, and you also have an additional head-up display. Now as I pull back to the steering wheel, typical Volvo steering wheel, nice leather wrapped. It is manual tilt and telescoping. It also has 3 stages of heating, and I have to say this thing heats up insanely hot. It basically on stage 3 it burns your hands, which is very important for being in Sweden, so I kind of expected that they would indeed do that. Now, taking a look at our center storage here, not really the focus of this vehicle. As such, it is extremely shallow. We have 1 donut inside for the donut test. And then up in front of that, you have a couple cup holders. No real loose areas to stick things, so your phone kind of just sets in like so. Off to the side, again, you'll find that beautiful crystal shifter I was pointing out earlier. Pull down for drive. Surprisingly, you don't have paddle shifters. I would have liked to see paddle shifters on board. But when you go into reverse, you've got a 360 camera. When you press that button right there, of course, front and rear parking sensors as well. Back behind that, you have your electronic parking brake with your brake hold. And then as we move into this region, we of course have a prominent volume knob. This actually comes standard with a Bauer & Wilkins audio system. It has 15 speakers, and let's hear it right now. Yeah, so Bauer & Wilkins is one of our favorite audio systems, and even though this does have a few less speakers than other Volvo products and it's just a little less crisp, it's still a fantastic sound quality. Alright, now in terms of the main infotainment system, this is a 9-inch display. This does have the Volvo Google-based infotainment system, although it's not quite, obviously, the latest and greatest that you get in the new XC90 and EX90. That being said, you still have Google Maps built into the system itself. You also can connect for Apple CarPlay. And then your drive modes and things like that are accessed right there inside of that menu. Now, the bottom part of the display is where you'll find your climate controls. This is a dual zone automatic setup. You can adjust the driver and passenger right through there. This is also where you can access your 3-stage heated seats and that heated steering wheel I was raving about earlier. Up above, we have an auto-dimming mirror. HomeLink universal remotes are built into it. Of course, you've got LED lighting, which is touch-sensitive. And you can swipe back on this touch-sensitive pad, and that will bring back the sunshade for the standard panoramic sunroof, which does open up in the front.
All right, but let's dive into the rear seat area for this V60 Polestar. Now, one of my favorite things about this vehicle is, of course, it's cool looking on the outside. We can't wait to show you what it's like to drive as well, but there's plenty of practicality, and you're really going to see that here in my section of the video. We're sitting at about 35 inches of legroom and about 38 inches of headroom. Those are really good figures. As a matter of fact, it's only a couple inches smaller overall than something like a Volvo XC60. So really a nice amount of space. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we are looking at 8 inches of additional knee room. Really good. My feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats. And these seats, may I add, are also very, very comfortable. You're, of course, going to get these special, gold color seat belts as well as the mesh trim. And the seats themselves are going to be bolstered here for the Polestar version here in the rear, so you're not going to be sliding around everywhere. Now, as far as features are concerned, we have 2 charging USB-C ports. We're also going to have three-stage heated back seats. That's standard equipment. Penny is also included. I wish this was enough to buy this V60 Polestar, not quite. And then down in the center section, we do have a really big center tunnel. Now, the vents are going to be located in the B-pillar, and then the door trim, really nicely done in typical Volvo fashion. Lots of soft touch plastic, leatherette in your armrest portion, and a decent amount of door storage, although it's probably not going to be too big. Probably wouldn't even fit a water bottle. Now, walking up to the cargo area, I think you're also going to be pleasantly surprised with this as well. Look at how much space you have. Let's go ahead and be a little exact with our figures here. We're going to be sitting at about 23 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. For those of you that know your Volvos, you'll actually know that that's more space behind the second row than something like an XC60. It's a couple cubic feet more. Now, as far as the maximum space is concerned, when we fold those seats down, it's going to be rated at 6D cubic feet, so just a few cubic feet less than an XC60 model. So really good space figures overall. Very practical option, that's for sure. There are not any handles to fold the second row of seats, though, so I will have to go up there and do it manually. And now that I've got those seats folded down, they do fold 60-40 split folding, and there is a trunk pass-through. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures, as we do in all of our Car Confections reviews. Overall length behind Drew's 5'8" driving position is 77 inches of length. That's really good. From behind the second row seats, you can expect 41 inches of length. As far as the opening, that's also going to be 41 inches. And then height, this is where you're really going to notice that's a wagon as opposed to an SUV. We're only sitting at about 26 inches of overall height. So not super tall, but it is very long, and it's going to really be practical for most people's needs. Down underneath of the floor, there's not a spare tire. There is room for the charge cable, though, so keep that in mind. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Volvo V60 Polestar Engineered. We're very excited to show you what this vehicle is like to drive. In this test drive, we'll be discussing the things that you can see on the screen right now, including getting things like our sound level reading and our real-world fuel economy. But first, we need to start with a hard acceleration.
All right. 60 miles an hour. Quite quickly with the Polestar Engineered. Now, like we were saying at the spec dump, obviously it does have a powerful powertrain. It's a plug-in hybrid powertrain with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. A very powerful electric motor as well, which is paired to a 18.8 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. All this together makes 455 horsepower, 523 pound-feet of torque. So big power, pretty small package as well.
Yeah, it's no wonder why it just absolutely throws you back in your seat. The 0 to 60 on this is rated at 4.3 seconds, so really quick 0 to 60. It's a familiar powertrain. It's the same one that they use in pretty much all of their Recharge models, the T8. I can't remember what Volvo is now. Is it T8 or Recharge? One of the two. They change it every year.
2025 dropped the Recharge branding.
So I think it's T8 now.
Just T8.
But 455 horsepower, 523 pound-feet of torque is really, really impressive. And I think in this package specifically, it does feel even faster, because if you put in an XC90, it's bigger, it's heavier. This thing feels incredibly quick.
Now, of course, this does have all-wheel drive, and we have an 8-speed automatic transmission. So for that acceleration and throughout this drive so far, we've been in what is known as the Polestar drive mode. That, of course, is just going to kind of amp everything up to the max. Or you can use this, as more of like a conservative vehicle and drive it around in the hybrid mode, or even a pure electric mode. That's kind of all up to you, because you've got that ability. If you were to drive it in pure electric mode, you can actually get 41 miles of electric range, which is very impressive because the battery is quite large. But when you're talking about the Polestar application, obviously the big component is just the overall performance, and that's what the emphasis is on.
All right, but let's go ahead and discuss ride quality now that we're on our designated strip of road. Now, when it comes to the Polestar V60, there's a very special element about this model, and that's the fact that we have manually adjusting adaptive suspension. So, you've heard all of these, modern vehicles have adaptive dampers. You just push a button in the center console, and that changes how the suspension, dampens. This one's a manually adjusting setup, so you can actually pop the hood, and in there you can twist to manually adjust. It's a really cool process, honestly. The rear is a little bit more difficult. You have to jack the vehicle up to do so, so it's not as easy, but it is kind of a fun little process. It's the only car I know of that has that. This is an Elms, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It is Swedish chassis with adjustable dampers, and overall it definitely firms up the ride a lot. So compared to any other Volvo I've been in, this is definitely the firmest ride that you have. We have it in the firmest setting right now, which really helps you when we talk about driving dynamics. And as far as the comfort is concerned, if you adjust it to the more comfortable setting, it really rides very similar to other Volvo products as well. All right, but we're going to toggle it into the pure drive mode, which is the full electric setting, and we also have it on fan speed 1, so we can get our official Car Confections sound level reading. If you'll let me in the center console here. There we go. All right. We're going 55 miles per hour. .8 decibels is what we were sitting at before we started slowing down. Overall, that's pretty good sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we posted all the different vehicles you might be comparing this to, although there's probably not too many. And that's certainly a pretty good sound level rating when you compare it to other vehicles at this price point. There's certainly not a lot of noise entering into the cabin at all, just besides for the tire noise, especially with the engine off right there.
All right, but I'm back in Polestar mode, which is this vehicle's natural habitat. And let's talk a little bit about driving dynamics. So as we kind of accelerate down this country road, obviously the vehicle itself is fast, but the big characteristic of it is those adjustable dampers, because when they're in the firmest setting, this takes Volvo to a new level that they've really never been. Volvo's a very comfort-oriented brand for the most part, especially with their SUV products. But you can really throw this thing around some corners, and it stays so flat. I love the way this handles overall. You can just see that agility and athleticism at play. Like I said, it just feels so tossable and athletic. The other thing that I like about it is how fast the steering is. You get this really nice immediate off-center response. And overall, it really is just a joy over the last week to kind of throw down some country roads. Definitely found myself wanting to extend some of the drives that I've been on just to go a little further and have a little bit of fun. The only thing, though, I don't really dig is just the steering still is very light. Volvo, all their steering systems are always very light, and this one is still the same, so you don't have tremendous feel, even though it is very fast.
And no paddle shifters, may I add.
Yeah. And that's going to be today's slam dunk, that overall level of performance while still being, a practical wagon. That's why it makes us sad that These are disappearing.
Yeah, that's our airball, actually, is the fact that they stopped making it, unfortunately. I understand this is not a hot seller. I really wish they just keep it around, though, because this is a very special product. For the person that this checks the boxes for them, they're going to absolutely love this, and it's really just a shame that Americans don't buy more of vehicles like these, because these are really great cars. Now, getting back to some more practical elements, I do want to mention fuel economy. 31 miles per gallon is what it's rated at if you just use this vehicle in its hybrid drive mode with no charge on the battery, so that's really good fuel economy. We have pretty much confirmed that with other Volvo plug-in hybrids before. The pure electric range is 41 miles, as Drew has already mentioned. What have we gotten this week? Well, we've been driving it pretty hard. It's a lot of fun to drive, so we've been testing out its performance abilities over the 142 miles, and we've been sitting at 23 miles per gallon. That's definitely not bad, considering, how much fun we've been having with this vehicle. I absolutely think that you would get that 31 mpg if you were driving, normally and in traffic and those type of things. We have a lot of country roads, so we've definitely been enjoying that this week with this model. So overall, the fuel economy, pretty darn good. Now, it's a 7-day review, so do we like it better, the same, or worse? Well, that last one is not the case. This thing, we had pretty high expectations going into our 7-day loan of it. Of course, it's a fun performance wagon, and I think it absolutely met all those expectations and went a little further. It really is a fantastic all-around package. If you can find one of these, they are going to be hard to find, but if you can find one, I think this is really going to be a fantastic choice for you and your family. All right, so let's dive into pricing. So if you're paying attention at the very beginning of the video, I said that it starts at around $72,000 for this Polestar Engineered. Unfortunately, the production has ended of the 2025 model, so that's something to keep in mind. However, you probably will have to search high and low to find one. If you can find one, it's a very cool vehicle. Now, if you're looking to buy one of these or any new vehicle, we would also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a special car like this is definitely more about just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Volvo V60 Polestar's resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 42.5% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 12.5%. Now, it is worth noting that it is lower than industry average for all vehicle brands. It is also very much on par with other German luxury brands such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi. And the thing I do want to point out, though, is that this is a very rare vehicle. So when you're talking about, a car that they only make a few of, sometimes that can actually really positively affect your resale value a lot more than these numbers would suggest. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Volvo is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Lastly, when it comes to your warranty, Volvos are protected by a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty. They do also give you 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our 7-day review of this very special 2025 Volvo V60 Polestar Engineered. This is one incredible wagon, and we are very glad that we were able to spend a week with it and share that week with you all. If you enjoyed that process, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family, and you're also going to get really cool videos like this. And if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You definitely make this all possible. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.